This is the data set of the Titanic survivors. Now every point here is representing a person that was on the Titanic. Let's actually explore and see whether the age-old adage of women and children first was actually followed when they were going to the lifeboats. So here are all the women, here are all the men, and one of the things we can do is we can color it by whether they survived or not. So here, color by survive. And I'm going to choose a palette that makes it a little bit easier to remember that. So I kind of like to use red versus green just to show when they survived. And it helps to have red being died and green being survived. So now you can see that most of the women survived. Sort again by color. And you can see that if we just selected the survivors and just isolated those, you can see about the same number of women as men survived. But as a percentage, you can see that the women did much better. But that's still not the whole story. If we now look at this by cabin class, you can see first class, second class, third class in the crew. Well, there were clearly a lot of people in the crew, and a lot of men in the crew that did not survive. So I'm actually just going to throw the crew out of this and just look at the passengers. And you can see that for just the passengers in first class, only about 6 women didn't survive. And only about 13 or 14 women in second class didn't survive. But in third class, more than half of the women didn't survive. So it helped to be female and rich to survive the Titanic. Well, what about children? Let's look at the age of children. It turns out, similar pattern. In first and second class, there's only 1 person that didn't survive. But in third class, more than half of the kids did not survive. It's kind of interesting. We can actually take a look at this point over here and see who this person is. Turns out it's Miss Helen Lorraine Allison, and if we look her up, there's an entry about her in the Encyclopedia Titanica, and we can find out that she was traveling with her mother and father and brother, and they were separated, and they vowed not to leave without the others, and they were last seen together smiling on the promenade deck. And so it's nice to be able to help associate real people with these data points. One last thing that you might kind of be able to have a story in this. Let's take off fasting by class, and let's look at the Titanic by how much the tickets cost. So now I'm going to color this by cabin class. And I'm going to do this. And let's choose a nice qualitative color thing so we can see this well. And I like this one better. So you can see that first class is red, second class is blue, and third class is green, which means they paid a lot less money, and they're all over here. Except for this one outlier. Again, the outliers tend to be what's really interesting to me. Who is this person that didn't pay much money, but ended up in first class? Turns out it's Mr. Franz Olaf Carlson. Again, we can look them up. Turns out that he was essentially got his captain's papers. He was first mate on a ship, but there was a strike. So the company gave him a first-class ticket back to New York on the Titanic, but he did not survive the sinking. So he was a doubly unlucky person. So again, this is all about seeing these insights, finding these insights, and communicating these insights. And it's really remarkably easy to use. Thanks.